All right, today we're going to work on not multiplying, dividing fractions and mixed numbers. We're going to work on dividing fractions and mixed numbers. I'm going to give you a moment to go ahead and get your paper and your pencil ready to take notes. All right, so we're going to use a fraction bar to model dividing 2 1/2 by 1/4. So we would say 2 1/2 divided by 1/4. Picture of that might look something like this. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to divide this last one into halves. And I'm going to highlight the 2 1/2. So there's 1, 2, and 1/2. Now, if we're dividing 2 1/2 by 1/4, what we're doing is literally taking this whole and we're breaking it into fourths, and taking this whole and breaking it into fourths, and taking this whole and breaking it into fourths, and then we're going to color in the 2 1/2 again. Notice that we still have the same size pieces, the same amount, the same value, the same quality. The difference is, and that's with our wholes. Our wholes are the same size. Okay. The difference is we've broken this into more pieces. This is a fourth. Each one of these is 1/4. So to find out what 2 1/2 divided by 1/4 is, we just count the number of pieces. So 10 1/4 bars are equal to 2 1/2. Therefore, 2 1/2 divided by 1/4 equals 10. Dividing fractions is just like multiplying fractions, except that you invert the number and the numerator and the denominator of the second fraction before you multiply, and you always change the mixed numbers to improper fractions before dividing. So as we move on and look at working with the numbers themselves, what we're going to do is the same thing that we have done previously with dividing fractions. This time there's just an additional step. So for instance, with 2 1/2 divided by 1/4, our first step is going to be to change our mixed number to an improper fraction. All right, so remember that we do that by multiplying our whole number times our denominator plus our numerator all over our denominator. And again, the only part of this number sentence I'm dealing with right now is changing this mixed number to an improper fraction. That's step 1. All right, so what that looks like is 2, because that's my whole number, times 2, because 2 is my denominator, plus 1, all, because 1 is my numerator, all over 2, because 2 is the denominator. So when I do that, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. I end up with 5 halves. Now, that changes my number sentence. My number sentence is now 5 halves divided by 1/4. Remember that when we divide fractions, we kind of make this next step. It's broken apart into 2 steps in your curriculum, but I want to remind you that we make this one step. We invert the second fraction. It's important to do that on the second fraction, not the first one, which would be the divisor. And change the sign to multiplication. Okay, you have to remember that that word invert means that we're going to flip it upside down. Okay, if we invert, we're going to flip it upside down. All right, so we're going to take 1/4 and we're going to invert it to 4 over 1. And our division sign now becomes a multiplication sign, and we still have 5 halves. That was step 2. Invert the second fraction, which is the divisor. So we changed 1/4 to 4 over 1. And we changed the division sign to a multiplication sign. Step 3 is to multiply. Numerator to numerator, denominator to denominator. And I am abbreviating those, n times n and d times d. So we have 5 times 4, which equals 20, over 2 times 1, which equals 2. We now have 20 over 2. Step 4 is to convert to a mixed number and simplify if it's needed. "20 halves," we're going to divide 20 by 2. Remember that when we convert, we divide the numerator by the denominator. So we're going to divide 20 by 2. You should know that 2 times 10 is 20. So 2 times 1 is 2. We subtract, we get a 0. We bring our 0 down. 0, we have no remainders. And 10 is our answer. So 20 seconds is 10. 20 seconds is 10. All right, so let's look at a couple more examples just to kind of get you started before you start your assignment. Let me raise this up a little bit so you can see a little bit more. All right. On this one, we have 10 and 1/2 divided by 1 by 1/2. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change our mixed number. So convert mixed to improper. Again, this is your whole number times your denominator plus your numerator all over your denominator. And think about it this way. If I have 10 wholes and they're each divided into 2 pieces, how many pieces am I going to have? I'm going to have 20 pieces. That's where that comes from, is you're taking your 10 wholes and you're multiplying by 2 because now each whole has 2 pieces. Hope that makes sense to you. So it's 10 times 2 plus our numerator of 1. So just a reminder, this is your whole number. This is your denominator. And this is your numerator. And we're going to put that all over 2 divided by 1/2. 10 times 2 is 20 plus 1 is 21. So we have 21 over 2 divided by 1/2. So now we have an improper fraction. Remember, an improper fraction is where our numerator is greater than our denominator. So step 2 is going to be invert and change from division to multiplication. So with that, we're only going to invert the second fraction. So that's the divisor. We will only invert the number we are dividing by. So in this specific instance, that is 1/2. So that's going to become 2 over 1 when we flip it over. We change our sign to a multiplication sign, and we now have 21 halves times 2 over 1. The third step is to multiply numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So 21 times 2, if you need to work this out on your piece of paper, you can. And so that's going to be 21 times 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So we're going to have 42 over 2. That was step 3. So step 4 is convert to a mixed number. And simplify if you need to. Remember that when we simplify, we use the GCF between the numerator and the denominator to help us. But before we can do that, we have to do 42 divided by 2. "42 divided by 2 is going to be 21 even. So 2 goes into 4 2 times. Bring down the 2. 2 goes into 2 1 time. And no remainder. 21 is our answer. So what happens if you have 2 mixed numbers and you're dividing a mixed number by a mixed number? Well, that means that you're going to have to convert two fractions. It's not any harder than the previous one. It just means that you have to do both fractions instead. So for instance, if we have 7 1/2 divided by 2 1/4, your step one is still going to be convert to improper fractions. You're still going to use the same formula that you used before, whole number times denominator plus numerator all over the denominator. So for the first one, it's going to be 7 times 2, 7 times 2 plus 1 all over 2 divided by 2 times 4 plus 1 all over 4. All right, 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15, so this becomes 15 halves, divided by 2 times 4 is 8, 8 plus 1 is 9, so we have 9 over 4. That is all part of step 1, convert to an improper fraction. At this point, after we've done our conversion, we convert, then we invert, then we multiply, and we convert again. So on this one, we're going to keep 15 halves. Our division sign becomes a multiplication sign, and 9/4 becomes 4/9. Step 3 is to multiply numerator by numerator and denominator times denominator. What that looks like is 15 times 4 over 2 times 9. I know that 15 and 15 is 30. That's 2 15s. So 2 more 15s would be another 30. 30 plus 30 is 60. 2 times 9 is 18. So I know the answer is 60/18. Step 4 is still the same. Convert back to a mixed number by dividing and simplify. Remember GCF if we need it. Okay? When we convert from an improper fraction to a mixed number, we're going to divide the numerator, sorry, this should be numerator, by the denominator. In this specific instance, we're going to divide 60 by 80, or 18, sorry. I know that 18 is close to 20, so I think that 18 can go into 60 3 times, and I'm going to test that with my multiplication. 3 times 8 is 24, 4 carry the 2, 3 times 1 is 3, 4, 5, 54. If you know your multiplication facts, and if you can make relationships with estimation and rounding, that will help you. If you can't, remember that you can always come over here to the side and type and write, 18 times 1 equals 18. Then you can add 18 to that and say 18 times 2 equals 36. 18 times 3, you're going to add 18 to that, is 54. You do your math the way that is best for you. I would encourage you to make sure over the break that you are still practicing your multiplication facts. Okay? So when we do 60 minus 54, we are left with 6. this is the part that throws some of you, is actually where do we get our fraction and our whole number from? So our quotient, which is the answer up here, becomes our whole number, because we're saying we can pull out 3 whole pieces with 18 in them out of 60 pieces. When we do that, we have 6 pieces left over. Remember, when we're talking about pieces out of something, that's going to be our numerator. And because this was our original denominator and it's what we divided by, this is still going to be our denominator. So our answer at this point is 3 and 6/18. Now, this is where you're going to have to use your greatest common factor to simplify. We have to simplify 6/18. They're both even numbers, so I know that I can divide both of them by 2 if I need to, but let's find out the greatest common factor between 6 and 18. So I know 1 times 6 is 6, and I know 2 times 3 is 6, so I only have 1, 2, 3, and 6 as factors. For 18, I know that 1 times 18 is 18. I know that 2 times 9 is 18. I know that 3 times 6 is 18. There's nothing I can multiply 4 times, and there's nothing I can multiply 5 times to get to 18. So I'm going to list the factors. Once I get to 6, I start repeating. Remember that you don't have to repeat factors when we're listing them. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. We are looking for the largest number. That's the greatest number in these lists of factors. So we're looking at these lists of factors, the greatest number that 6 and 18 have that is the same. Well, they have 1 in common, they have 2 in common, they have 3 in common, they have 6 in common. The greatest number that they have in common is 6. So I know that I can divide 6 and 18 both by 6. When I do that, I'm going to do this. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 18 divided by 6 is 3. So 6/18 now becomes 1/3. So our answer is going to be 3 and 1/3. Don't forget to put your whole number with your answer on that. I know that this is a lot of notes, but if you take good notes, it's going to help you. So just a review, a number that is turned upside down is called a reciprocal. You can't have 0 as a reciprocal. Make sure that you know the steps. Convert to an improper fraction. Invert your divisor and change it to change division to multiplication. Multiply your numerator times your numerator and your denominator times your denominator. Convert it to a mixed number and simplify. Remember to come see me if you have questions.